1. In Victor's eyes, I was probably just a self-appointed mistress. Back then, I had already appeared in a few moderately popular dramas, playing supporting roles, the scheming, spoiled, and willful second, third, or fourth female leads. At the end of the year, my company's risky business venture failed and was acquired by him at a low price. During a holiday party, he made a gracious appearance. That was my opportunity. My agent would never have imagined I had such nerve. She had actually lined up other potential clients for me. No one dared to set their sights on him. His influence was immense, and rumors painted him as difficult to deal with, not a kind or easygoing man. But I truly didn't want to spend the rest of my life shuttling between one portly, greasy patron after another, ruining myself. That was the first time I mustered the courage to scheme for myself. When he stepped out alone to the garden terrace for some air, I followed. After finally gathering my courage, my face flushed, I stood before him. He gazed at me with an inscrutable, heavy silence. Under that gaze, I trembled all over, but I forced myself past the shame to introduce myself. I said, "Hello, Mr. Wilson. My name is Serena." He was very tall, his eyes looking down at me with an air of disdain. He swept his gaze over me from head to toe without a change in expression, then pinched my chin to lift my face. My eyelashes fluttered as I met his eyes. I knew I was beautiful, most captivating when my eyes shimmered with a pitiful charm. Sure enough, he narrowed his eyes slightly, then waved a hand toward the bodyguards who had begun to gather around. Later, after spending a long time by his side, I realized he wasn't the type of man to be easily swayed by feminine charms. Many had offered themselves to him over the years, yet I was the only one who had approached him in this way. In my third year with him, his usually reserved assistant remarked with a sigh, "Miss Miller, you are very fortunate." If this were a romantic drama, I should have been his soulmate. Even if not the leading lady, I should at least have been a key supporting character, someone who resembles her enough to win his heart. But I was truly just a cannon fodder character. Much later, I finally gathered the courage to ask him, "Why? Why me?" He was in a good mood at the time, so he looked at me with a slight squint and finally replied, "You should consider yourself lucky." I was truly fortunate back then. Being young, my ignorance made me fearless. If I had to do it all over again now at my current age, and someone asked if I would dare to approach Victor like that, my answer would probably be no. My first date with Victor was at a fighting arena. Aside from on television, this was my first time setting foot in such a place. Victor led me to the highest private box, overlooking the scene below. A dark, seething crowd roared and cheered excitedly. In the center of the arena, a man faced a tiger. It was practically a one-sided slaughter. I nearly gagged, but didn't dare show it. I glanced at Victor's expression. He was intently watching the arena, his face showing almost no change. But a slight twitch at the corner of his eyebrow. Later, when I became familiar with his every micro-expression, I learned this meant he was excited. Killing always excited him. That day, unfortunately, though whether it was intentional on the arena's part remains unclear, the tiger in the pit leaped out and lunged toward the crowd, which had been cheering wildly just moments before. Everyone panicked and scattered. In the end, the tiger was brought down just a few feet in front of us. Warm blood splattered onto the back of Victor's hand. He narrowed his eyes slightly. When the arena owner came over personally to apologize, Victor was frowning at the drop of blood on his hand. In that moment, I felt all the wisdom of my life come together. I obediently leaned in and gently licked the blood clean from his hand. He raised his hand, stroking my hair down to the nape of my neck, then pinched the soft skin there, as if petting a cat. Later, when Victor said I was lucky, I couldn't help but wonder to myself, if that incident hadn't happened, he might have thrown me into the center of the arena to fight tigers or lions. He was a rather enigmatic man. Sometimes when he stayed over, I would wake up groggily in the morning to see him smoking on the balcony. Dawn was breaking, the ink-blue sky softening at the horizon where light met dark. Wearing silver-gray silk pajamas, he sat sideways on the balcony, smoking. A faint red glow flickered at his fingertips, brightening and fading. He didn't smoke much, more often. He just held the cigarette between his fingers, gazing down at it. His dark hair was tousled against his temples, his handsome profile strikingly sharp. With his eyelashes lowered, he looked almost sorrowful. He was a child of fortune, his business empire unimaginably vast. With wealth and power, anything he desired was within easy reach. I had no idea who could make him wear such an expression, nor what could trouble or sadden him. He always had remarkable self-control. There was a time when he smoked heavily and drank excessively, which eventually landed him in the hospital. At the time, his family was caring for him there. I once walked past his hospital room, pretending to be just a passerby. He was lying in bed with a young man and woman beside him, showing him something on a phone. He held a peeled apple, his gaze gentle as he leaned in to look at the screen. Suddenly, a genuinely happy smile spread across his face. He rarely smiled. In all the time I spent with him, I could count his smiles on one hand. Truth be told, he was just a very serious person. When his intense gaze fell on you, your heart would race, and you wouldn't dare meet his eyes. So at that moment, I was genuinely curious.
What was he looking at?
What could make him smile like that?